Why do we need a god? Can we not be a civilization that does not depend on the concept of a god?
No, of course you can, and in fact India is one of the few cultures where even in ancient times atheists were never oppressed or attacked. The Charvaks were atheists, for example. They are among the biggest schools of philosophy in the ancient Indian way. So you have every right to be an atheist, just as people have other people have the right to believe in God.
Okay, no, so my question was that why does a society actually need a god, the concept of a god? Can we not, as intelligent beings, go on leading our lives as a civilization without the belief in a higher being guiding our path?
The concept in the Indian way is where my ability ends, my faith begins. But your aim either through this life or your subsequent lives, the aim of your karma should be that you can raise your intellect and your character and your soul to such a level that you discover the God within. The real, rather deep philosophical wisdom to realize is God is within you.
Why do we need a reinterpretation? Can we not understand the story as it was told to us by our grandparents or their parents, for example?
It's been a traditional Indian way for millennia to have new interpretations. So even the story that your grandmother told you would be different from the story my grandmother or grandfather told me. For example, in North India, it is believed that Kartik Ji is elder between Kartik Ji and Ganesh Ji, the sons of Lord Shiva. In the South, it is the other way around. Now, which is the truth? God knows. But if you are in the South, you can believe what you want. If you are in the North, you believe what you want. In the North, it's believed that Kartik Ji is a bachelor. In the South, it's believed that he has 2 wives. Now, which is the truth? Again, up to you. So, this is the Indian way that we all have a right to our own interpretation, and we all respect other interpretations as well. In the traditional Indian way, religiosity and liberalism go hand in hand.
And hence comes my next question, very current affair. What do you make of the Mahishasur controversy that we had our HRD minister speak of in Parliament?
I am afraid I never speak on politics, but on that specific issue I had tweeted that I have read many scriptures, and there is nothing wrong with having an interpretation of respecting Mahishasur. That is your choice. But the words they used, the JNU students used for Ma Durga, that was upsetting, and I have never heard those words used for Ma Durga ever, and I tweeted that. That was upsetting. But if you want to have, if you want to worship Mahishasur, go ahead. In the ancient Indian way, the Asuras were actually, cousins of the gods. So there are many interpretations possible. A vast majority may worship Ma Durga. There are many Ma Durga worshippers who worship Mahishasur as well. There are a few number. What I was troubled by is the words that they use for Ma Durga, which in my mind showed the misogynist attitudes, the woman-hating attitudes of the JNU students who did so.
Is India more intolerant today than it has been any time in the past?
On this, I had always suggested that you should look at data when you want to judge a country as big as India. Sometimes we forget the scale of our country. There are more people in India than all of North America and South America put together. So if you want to judge 1.25 billion people, you shouldn't judge it based on 4 or 5 incidents. You should judge it on data. Are there a few incidents which are horrific, and should whoever carried out those incidents, should they feel the full force of the law? Of course, yes. But can you judge 1.25 billion people on 4 or 5 incidents? I would suggest that's a bit of a stretch. You should look at data. What does data show? No, actually religious violence is actually exceptionally low in India compared to most countries in the world. And in fact, religious violence has actually gone down consistently over the last 4 years, year on year. There are other kinds of violence that have gone up. So, violent crimes committed by adolescents have gone up. Violent crimes on women has gone up. So, my suggestion is look at data when you are judging a country of 1.25 billion people.
Okay. Last question. You have spoken of the lack of vocabulary in ancient Sanskrit for the concepts of blasphemy and evil. What do you make of when we bandy about these words today? When you say that those words were hurtful to you when they were used against Ma Durga, it's been used in the almost as blasphemous. That is what Smriti Irani said. So, why do we have these vocabulary now? And even though we have the knowledge, why are we not able to become more liberal?
The conversations and the intellectual structures that exist today have been dictated by the West. So, Western attitudes have imbibed into much of the world, and that is at times a source of the problems.
Okay, and hence you say that even though we are trying to relearn our culture, we are still learning it from a Western perspective. Do you think that's so?
I think what has happened among many educated urban Indians is much of our culture has been forgotten. We don't really explore our texts, our ancient stories, and I would venture to suggest that if most liberals actually explore our ancient, I am talking about our ancient texts, they would actually realize that our ancient culture is actually an ally to liberalism. So, I would strongly urge we should explore our ancient culture.
Okay. Do you not feel that when you say you don't want to comment on politics, but when you speak like this, you are a poster boy for a couple of political parties?
You are trying very hard to get me to say something on politics.
No, absolutely not. This is absolutely.
Look, it's like this. It's like this. My point would be that there are many wise people who comment on politics every night at 9 p.m. Some of them, in fact, most of them are so loud that you can hear them even if you switch the TV set off. So, my suggestion is listen to them. Yeah, मुझे क्या मालूम यार politics के बारे में. So, I'll speak about subjects that I know, and that's my outlook in life.